Hello again and welcome back to the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave and in this video I want to talk about using overdrive pedals. Now overdrive pedals and distortion pedals, there is a difference between overdrive and distortion, and I think that's a subject for another video. But you know, pedals that give you that dirty sound, I think for a lot of people they're probably the most important pedal in the signal chain, and certainly for a lot of guitarists it's the first pedal that they buy. Something that really transforms your sound from a boring old clean sound to something a bit more rocky, give you that dirty sound. But there's a few different ways you can use an overdrive pedal, and I want to kind of talk about those and demonstrate in this video today. Quick warning, this is one of those videos where I explain things. I get so much hate mail on the YouTube channel, people saying, why don't you just shut up, just let us hear how the guitar sounds. No, this is meant to be an educational channel. It's meant to be teaching you things and explaining how things work. So I am going to spend some time talking. If that's not for you, please feel free to just pick off and play with your crayons or something. The rest of you who've got an attention span, a bit of intelligence, and you want to understand how this works, stick around and we'll get into it. In terms of the gear I'm using today, I'm using my Fender 60s Bar Telecaster. It's a good frame of reference because basically everybody knows what a Fender Telecaster sounds like. Using the Blackstar HT20 amplifier, and the drive pedal that I'm using today is this one. It's the Digitech Bad Monkey. Much underrated pedal, I think. It's kind of very heavily influenced actually by an Ibanez Tube Screamer, so it gives a bit of a mid hump in the frequency range. So this is the guitar on its own. Yeah, clean sound, a little bit of delay and a little bit of reverb going on there. When I kick in the drive pedal, yeah, that's the sort of sound you associate with overdrive. It's getting into breakup. The drive there, it's set at about 2 o'clock, so just a little bit over halfway. So it's adding quite a bit of the effect into the signal. You know, there's no dispute in fact that's an overdriven sound. But the important thing there is I've got the level control, so like the volume control, set to what we call unity. So that means that the volume of the overdriven signal, the affected signal coming out of the pedal, it's a similar volume to if I didn't have the pedal on at all. That's important for something we'll come to later. So this is the first use of an overdrive pedal, which is basically if all you've got at your disposal is a clean sound, you can stand on that pedal and it just gives you overdrive. Now, to explain how overdrive works really quickly, if you think of your guitar signal as looking like this, so basically a sine wave, and what an overdrive pedal does is it adds gain. So basically it increases the amplitude in this wave, if you like. It makes it taller. But there's a limit as to how much amplitude you can have in that wave. And when it gets to a certain point, it just kind of cuts off. So you can see this is what we call clipping. So part of the wave gets clipped off. And because that's a different shape wave now, it's distorted. Yeah. You get a distorted sound. So when we talk about an overdriven sound, what we're talking about is a signal where the amplitude has been increased within the electronics of the pedal so much that the signal starts to clip and it overdrives. Now there's all sorts of different types of overdrive in the way that they do hard clipping, soft clipping, asymmetric clipping. That's a subject for a whole other video. But basically what we're talking about here is the signal is pushed so much that it starts to overdrive. Understanding that is important for some stuff that we'll come to later. So that's what's happening in this pedal. There's a bit integrated circuits and transistors and all sorts of other bits and bobs going in there. They take the signal, they amplify it, and it goes from being that lovely clean sound to being this even more lovely dirty sound. And because of the way the signal is affected, it does quite a lot to bring out some like the upper harmonics. So you often find it's easier to get like pull out pinch harmonics and whatnot with an overdriven signal. So that's first use of an overdrive pedal, just to give you an overdriven sound into a clean amp. What about using it into a dirty amp? sounds a bit pointless, really, doesn't it? If you've already got a dirty signal because you've got a 2-channel amplifier, if you've got an amplifier that's got a gain knob on it that gives you a dirty sound, why would you want overdrive? Well, I'll show you. Let's go to the dirty channel on my amplifier. So basically this is the preamp tubes. I've got a valve amplifier, so the preamp tubes are behaving in a similar way to how the circuitry in that overdrive pedal worked, but you know, there's the whole argument about tubes or valves sound different to solid state, but it's the same basic principle there. They're taking that signal, boosting it so much that it starts to clip and you get that overdriven sound. So if you think about what we had before was a clean guitar going into a pedal that gave us a dirty sound to go into the clean amp. What we've got now is a clean signal come from the guitar going into the dirty channel on the amp. Now what happens if I stand on my overdrive pedal, which is between the guitar and the amplifier? Basically just adding more gain, more overdrive. So instead of the amp sounding like this, it sounds like this. Now the difference there is a little bit more subtle than it was when we had the overdrive pedal going into the clean channel. You know, we had this pure clean sound and then a dirty sound, which is much different. Because we're starting with a dirty sound here with the amplifier and adding a little bit more dirt with the pedal, that difference is more subtle, but it's definitely audible. You can hear that there's a little bit more. For me, the sound just sings a little bit more. And because I've got more gain going on, it pulls out the harmonics a bit better, and it certainly has a little bit more sustain. Like I said, it sounds like a more alive overdrive sound. And so this is second use of an overdrive pedal. It's stacking the dirt sound from the pedal into the dirty sound of the amplifier and giving you like these two gain stages, which is actually more effective for a lot of applications than just turning up the gain on the amp. You could say, well, I've got the gain on the amp set at say number 3. I could just get more gain by turning that gain up to number 6 or number 7. You actually find sometimes it's a little bit more effective to have a little bit of gain on the amp and a bit of gain from the pedal, and the sum total is better than just having one gain stage with more. Try this for yourself with your own drive pedal, your own amplifier, and you'll find what balance between drive on the pedal or drive on the amp works for you. But certainly don't think because you've already got an overdriven sound on the amp there isn't a place in your signal chain for a drive pedal, because there certainly is. Stacked gain is really, really useful. Looking at that another way, the third use of an overdrive pedal is just with other overdrive pedals. So if I go back to the clean channel on my amp, so the clean channel is sounding like this. I can kick in the Bad Monkey as I was playing before. So basically the sound of a drive pedal. But how about turning on another drive pedal? I've got a Boss Blues Driver on the board as well. So this is just the Blues Driver on its own. And this is the Blues Driver in the Bad Monkey. So again, it's a more subtle difference than just adding drive into a clean signal, but you've got the interplay between the two drive pedals, and whether I had the Blues Driver going into the Bad Monkey or the Bad Monkey going into the Blues Driver, I could get different sounds. You know, how I adjust the gain controls on each of those, balancing more gain on one pedal, less on the other, or vice versa. Loads of different ways you can do it. But again, it's the principle of stacking gain stages, but using pedals rather than the amplifier. And you can kind of just keep adding more and more gain stages, but eventually you get too much of a good thing and you start to lose definition. But again, don't necessarily constrain yourself to a single drive pedal. Consider using two and stacking them. Okay, now all the examples we've heard so far, I've had the level control, the volume control as it's called on some pedals, set at what I consider to be unity. So the volume coming out of the pedal is pretty much what it would be if I didn't have the pedal there at all. So the pedal's not actually adding any volume, it's just adding gain and drive and distortion. But if you get a drive pedal, you might find it's a bit weird that you've got so much movement in the level control, and you can make the signal a lot louder, and that is actually quite useful. Now obviously as you add gain, the signal gets a bit louder, so you tend to back off on the level. So the higher gain, lower level, lower gain, higher level, to try and balance it at unity. But what you can do is you can take that level control and take it way above unity. So you've actually effectively boosting the signal level a little bit. Now remember what I said about the way that overdrive works is the signal being boosted to a point where it starts to clip. Yeah. Now that's happening inside of the overdrive pedal, or it's happening in the preamp tubes in the amplifier. Now what I can do is I can turn the level up on the pedal so that the signal coming out of it is boosted, if you like, and that starts to push the preamp tubes on the amplifier a little bit, and it starts to induce breakup, not because of electronics in some sort of integrated circuit or bits and bobs on a PCB inside the pedal to give us the gain sound. It's giving us gain because we're starting to overdrive and push the preamp tubes. I'll show you what I mean. So I've got the pedal set with a slightly lower gain now. It's down to around 9 o'clock, and the level is roughly at unity. Yeah, so there's still a little bit of drive there, less than we had before. But you can hear there's a bit of dirt in the signal. Now if I turn that level right the way up, we get something that sounds a little bit different. Now obviously that's louder, certainly I can hear it in the room. The sound coming out of the amplifier is louder, but there's a little bit more grit coming in there, and that's because the level is being boosted, and actually for all I'm playing into the clean channel on the amplifier, it is starting to clip slightly at the preamp. So what I'm doing is using the overdrive pedal as a boost to give me more gain into the amplifier and to give me a little bit more drive. Again, this is like stacking gain stages. I've got the gain stage on the pedal, and I've got a little bit of overdrive happening at the preamp tubes on the amplifier. So that's use 4. So the fifth use, if you like, is to do the same thing, but into the dirty channel on the amplifier. So the dirty channel on the amplifier sounds like this. And with a little bit of overdrive and a signal boost to give it a bit more clipping in compression into the amplifier. Yep, so a lot of scope there for different ways to use your overdrive pedal. 5 different ways, in fact, I've shown you here. Just using it at unity to give you an overdriven sound into a clean amp. Using it at unity to give you a more overdriven sound into a dirty channel on the amplifier. Stacking it with other gain pedals is the 3rd way. So little bits of overdrive from multiple overdrive pedals. Or using a boosted signal into the clean channel on the amp to give you a bit of drive at the amp. Or the 5th way there was to use the boosted signal into the dirty channel of the amp to give you more overdrive again. So 5 different ways. The particular way it sounds with your pedal will vary depending on the type of pedal that you've got, the type of pickups you've got in your guitar, if the higher output or lower output. There's loads of different factors, so I'd encourage you to go away and experiment. But the important thing, that's what I said at the start of the video, it's about explaining how things work. It's for you to understand the relationship between like signal level and overdrive and how clipping works, how it happens, and how that affects your guitar tone. So lots for you to experiment with, and If you've only got one Overdrive pedal, maybe this gives you an excuse to go shopping and get yourself a second one, because I know guitar players do love going shopping for pedals. Anyway, there you go. Go away, experiment, and see what that can do for your guitar sound. Don't just limit yourself to one pedal, one sound. There's much more to an Overdrive pedal than that. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that interesting and useful. If you did, please click like down there. If you really enjoyed it and you want to see other videos that I post on the YouTube channel, then please click subscribe, which is also down there. And click the bell icon, because that makes a thing happen and you get notified about videos when I upload them, and it looks better for my channel and gives me better visibility on YouTube and all of that good stuff. You're welcome to leave a comment below. I don't always see comments left on YouTube videos, so if you've got a specific question that you want to ask me, you're better off going here, filling that form in, send your question in. That way I'm guaranteed to see it and I can get around to answering your question in a future video. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.